Hello and welcome to the third sector. In our community there are three sectors, the public, the private, and the nonprofit. And it's that third sector, the nonprofits, that we're here to talk about today. My first guest is Dana Weigel with Safety Village. Hi Dana.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Well, you're welcome. I've been a part of Safety Village through the Kiwanis Club for a while, so I do have a basic understanding, but I bet there's folks out there that really don't know what Safety Village is, where it is, or what our mission is. Would you share that with them before we start?
I'll try. Safety Village was started here in 1989. It was really started by the Leadership Wayne County group, and there were some Kiwanians involved. And of course they functioned for a year, and then after that the Kiwanis Club has taken it over. So we've basically been in business for 28 years now. And we teach kids safety, generally kindergarten kids, learning to cross the street, stop, drop, and roll in a fire situation. What is your exit plan to get out of the house if it's on fire, or dialing 911? You know, the fact that police officers and firefighters are good people and do what they say, and they can be helpful to you and you can be helpful to them.
So when we talk about Safety Village, there's also a program that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But describe for us a little bit, what does Safety Village look like?
Safety Village really is a miniature community. It's located on the state hospital grounds. We are on about 8 acres. We have 28 businesses represented there, and this is how we gain our income, through charging them rent for their space. And from that, we operate the facility. We do 3 primary things. One is the safety camp, which we'll talk a little bit about this year. 2 is trick-or-treat night right before Halloween, so the kids get used to the streets and not walking down the middle of the streets and looking both ways. We have a greater problem with the parents on that one. And then finally, from September through the middle of November, we have a fire safety campaign, and we're pretty busy then too.
Yes, and it really is a neat village. There's buildings, there's sidewalks, there's, you know, places that cars are driving.
You know, stoplights and stop signs and crosswalks, all that. It's really neat.
Yes.
We're very fortunate.
Well, let's start with the easiest program first. Trick or treat, safe trick or treat night.
Safe trick or treat night generally is the Monday before trick or treat, and all the businesses are there, and they're handing out candy as the kids go around, and a lot of them are in costume and they have a good time. We talk about safety while they're there. We talk about being sure to look both ways. Always take the hand of your mom and dad. And we have, last year, I think we had 1,000 kids.
There's a lot of kids running around there. So that's the simplest program that's offered.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the fire safety.
The fire safety is, well, that program is put on by Mike Davis, the fire protection chief, and he does sessions where schools, Head Start, those kind of groups come in, and they come in all the way for 2.5 months. So he's very busy. We have what we call a smokehouse there, which has a living room, a kitchen, and has an upstairs bedroom. And we talk about, if something happens, feel the door. What is your exit strategy? Are you going to go back through that hot door downstairs, or are you going to yell for help out the window? Do we have a throw-down chain ladder, or what kind of means do we have to get out of that window, that bedroom? Stay low because of smoke and those kinds of things.
So it really is a very comprehensive fire training program for these young children.
Right. And it's really kind of interesting, because as the kids go through, and we're dealing with young kids, you know, kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and, you know, well, do they know their address? You know, do they know how to dial 911? Do they, Can they give directions to where they live? What does their house look like? So forth and so on, in case emergency personnel need to know that.
So many things that maybe as adults we wouldn't think to teach them.
Right.
You know, I have young grandchildren, and just teaching them their name so they can tell people who they are, and then their address and phone number, and so vitally important in saving these young lives should there be an emergency like that.
Well, the neat thing, we don't hear it very often, but we've had probably a handful of instances over the years that kids have gone through the safety program, or safety, it used to be Safety Town, now we're calling it Safety Camp, and invariably they've had to use something they've known, and they've dialed 911, and because of their action, their family was safe. Pretty neat.
That's pretty emotional right there.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, tell us more about Safety Camp.
Well, Safety Camp this year is, we're going to do something new. We're going to expand the program. We hope to fill up all 4 weeks. We basically focus on taking kids coming into kindergarten. This year we're going to take kindergarten going to first grade and first grade going to second grade. So we hope we can attract more children to come. We teach them everything I just talked about. You know, that we teach them fire safety, we teach them traffic, we teach them crosswalks. We put them on a bus and we take them somewhere and teach them how to get on and off the bus. Very important, because a lot of those kids have never been on a bus, and they're going to be on a bus at some point.
Yes. So this is a week-long program.
It's a week-long program. It goes from 8 in the morning to 11, and then there's an afternoon session from 12 to 3. And so it's for 5 days, and so we'll have 2 sessions each day for a week, and that will go on for 4 weeks.
Okay, but the kids attend only a morning or an afternoon session, not both.
Correct.
I've been out there during these classes, and to me it's amazing because I believe the police and the firemen volunteer their time. Is that right? Or is
they're
it
paid
it's a
staff.
contract?
They are paid by the fire department and the police department and the sheriff's
to
department.
participate,
Yeah.
yes. And just watching them work with these children, I mean, they get right down on their level and talk to them in a way that the kids understand what's being said to them. And it, you know, the teachers, I know we have some teachers that participate. Very comprehensive program.
Right. And, you know, I was surprised because I went through that class this last summer, and they were talking about gun safety. And you think, well, you know, these little kids, pretty apt to maybe pick up a gun, thinking maybe it's plastic and it turns out it's real. So we talk about those differences and what to look for, and don't touch. Get an adult and say, that doesn't look right. I know it's not safe. I shouldn't be touching it. You need to do something with it, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you can never start too young with something like that.
No, it's a great impression, and we know when they get out on the streets. And this year we're using pedal cars instead of power wheel cars. They're going to learn to stop and look both ways, and they're going to come to a stop sign or a stop light, and what that means. And then we hear from the parents, "Daddy, you just ran a yellow light." So
they're listening.
That's kind of neat. Yeah, they're listening.
They are listening, and obviously it's having an impact.
Well, and through this time, we really involve, the fire department comes out and brings its trucks. We have RP&L comes. You know, the important thing is you see an RP&L truck, you don't want to be close to it because it could be shocking, depending on what happens. So that's emphasized. We have last year we had the Lifeline helicopter in. Those little kids' eyes were really big.
I bet. Well, we've got about 3 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we tell folks how they can, number one, get their kids, grandkids, nieces, and nephews signed up for Safety Camp. So talk to us a little more about how they register.
Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit.
That's all right.
Number one, the first week of camp starts on June the 5th. But again, we have 4 weeks of that. They can go online to Safety Village of Wayne County in Wayne County, Indiana, and that will go right to our link with the application. fill out the application. Probably the key thing here is the applications are due by May the 19th. And at that point, we will structure, they have a choice to pick out their first and second choice or their weeks. And we will then get back to them on May the 25th, where they're enrolled.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by clicking on this link, they will see the cost, the application form, and the dates.
Correct.
So they'll have all the information they need right
Correct.
there.
Correct.
We touched on this briefly, but I want to go back and talk about, in our last 2 minutes here, how is this funded? You can't fund it just from the buildings. So what other sources of income do you have, and how can the folks watching help make sure this program continues?
Well, obviously, we would accept donations. We are a 501c3. And our address and all that information is also on our website. It's P.O. Box 295, in case you're wondering.
Richmond.
Yes. The bulk of the funding comes from the people, the businesses that have the buildings there. I used to be in McDonald's, and we have a small McDonald's, and generally those lots are $1,000. You build your own building to represent your business, and the building becomes our property in case you decide to do something else after 5 years.
Sure.
So it's pretty neat, and we have wonderful folks that have been supporting us. We've been out there in this facility since 2003, so it's grown from there.
Super. So I know you get some support from Kiwanis Club and the folks there, but if the public want to contribute, they can send it to the P.O. Box.
Right.
Or can you give us the phone number if they've got questions or need more information?
Yes, I can. 935-1230.
All right.
I knew you were going to ask that too, didn't I?
It was a trick question, but you passed. In our last few seconds, is there anything we need to know about Safety Village or Safety Camp that we haven't covered?
Well, it's probably the best kept secret in Wayne County. We need your kids to come out and learn and be safe, and you'll probably end up learning something yourself if your child comes. It's really neat.
I know I did. The few times that I sat in on the programs, you know, it was amazing to be reminded of things that I had forgotten.
Right.
And especially now that we have little ones in our home, you know, it's good to be safe and review
I'm just
those.
quickly reminded of something, that some of the things that you have underneath your kitchen sink that are blue, that look like Powerade, you know, they shouldn't be there.
And they talk about that too.
Yes, they do.
Yes. Well, thank you for being here today, Dana. I think we've shared a lot of good information, and I hope the folks out there will get on the website and get their kids and grandkids registered for this very important program.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
We'll be right back with more of the third sector. Welcome back to the third sector. My second guest is Sue Routson with the DIPLOMAS program. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you.
For those that don't know what in the world I'm talking about, tell us, what is the DIPLOMAS program?
DIPLOMAS is developing independent parents leading on to matriculation and success.
That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words. And what it means is when we have young parents in Richmond community schools, we have in-school, fully licensed child care for their child so that they can stay in school and finish, and their child gets fully licensed child care and also will enter school ready to learn. We have done this for 23 years. We came out of the main recommendation of the Greater Richmond Progress Committee Teen Pregnancy Task Force, chaired by Carol Hinshaw, from 1987 to 1989. And after doing a lot of research on unmarried parents in Richmond, we discovered that the key to their success is finishing high school. Young parents who are not supported tend to abuse their children. They end up in trouble with the legal system and go on pretty much to a life of poverty and problems. If you can keep the young parents in school to get a diploma, they almost always go on to further education and or training And if you have their child in licensed child care, that child will enter school ready to learn, not be a discipline problem, not need remediation, and they have a perfectly average family life. So people were skeptical when we started this. We've done it 23 years now, and we have 458 parents that we have seen through in this time, 229 babies, 230 babies. We had one set of twins.
Oh.
And they have gone on to further education, training jobs, and are perfectly wonderful average citizens.
That's great. What I hesitate to say success rate, but tell us about the program and how it's affecting these students.
Well, the big thing we have found is we give the teen parents hope. They often feel very hopeless and helpless when they find out about the pregnancy, and they are just ready to give up in all ways. We support them. If they need a tutor, if they need clothes for a job interview, if they need a ride to school because they missed the bus with the baby, if they need a ride to the pediatrician, we see that they get it. All of our students qualify for the state child care voucher money, and so we help them with all that paperwork. Now, to do that paperwork on your own is a very daunting thing for anybody, so we help them do it. The state identified years ago that teen parents were the group most likely to abuse their children because of lack of support. They just get frantic. So our parents have priority on the child care voucher list. As soon as we identify that a girl is pregnant, we get her on the list, and then by the time she has the baby, her name comes up, and then we can get her covered. So it costs the girls nothing to have their children in diplomas. We have 6 local funders who are very faithful with helping us. State and other monies from major outside funders provide about half the money, and the local funders provide the other half. The students know that we will support them. We will help them with whatever it takes. Filling out applications to Ivy Tech and IU East. We do that a lot. Helping them practice for job interviews. If they need clothes for a school interview, a job interview, whatever, we help. Once they know that we have their backs in all ways, they can think about planning for the future. If you're hopeless and helpless and feel like there's no tomorrow, you can't make a plan for the future. Our parents do and are successful because they know we will help them. You know, a flat tire is not the end of the world. We will get you, whatever it takes. So they become very focused, and they're 95% of the time their attendance and grades go up, and they graduate. We have an equal or better graduation rate than the regular student body because they know that we're there for whatever it is they need. So this has outstripped everything the founders imagined. 2 of us are still involved, and it just blows our minds how successful we have been. We have had about 30 of our original babies graduate from high school now, and not one of them has brought us a baby. And that's what we told people when we started. We can break the cycle of unwed parenthood, but you've got to give us about 25 years to show it. And a lot of people, you know, they didn't believe we would do it. Well, it takes that long. But so many of our girls particularly say, my daughter will not be here like this. And they aren't. So this has broken the cycle. These kids are having independent families. They are achieving quite a bit more than their families did. And we're just sort of overwhelmed with our success at this point.
Well, you must be doing something right if you're still around 28 years later.
Yeah.
Now, you said something that I want to clarify, because I would think this is only involving girls.
No, we involve the biological father where at all possible. Sometimes by the time we get the girl, there's another male who's the preeminent person in her life. So we take it however it comes. Many of our teen mothers, by the time they graduate, have a pretty steady, significant other, maybe or maybe not the biological father, but a pretty stable male. And the thing that we didn't even think about when we founded this program is that if this teen mother stays in school, that significant male stays in school. So that's two people we've kept out of poverty right there, and the males go on to achieve. Our first emphasis was on totally on the teen mother, but then we realized, hey, there's more than one person involved here, and we've had great support from the male staff at the high school, particularly, to talk to the boys involved and talk about fatherhood and parenting and show them their children's pictures and all that sort of thing. And it has made such a difference in the boys' attitude toward this whole thing. And we've got some pretty significant, stable relationships coming out of this. So DIPLOMAS has exceeded every expectation that the founders ever had. We thought we could make a difference. We had no idea. Especially, we've only had 12 girls out of the 229 that had a repeat pregnancy in the time that we have them. Now, the local average is 100% of those girls would have. You know, we thought if we could cut it by half, we'd be happy. It's the hope factor. It's that they know we will help them go on to have goals, have plans. IU East and Ivy Tech have just been wonderful about supporting our kids, and the high school counselors help. You know, everybody's on board with this. So we're boggled with our own success at this point.
Well, and I think you're doing a number of things right. You know, it's consistent. You're licensed child care. You're modeling good behavior. And I know some kids aren't fortunate, like I was, to have two parents at home that cared, that could be there. You know, some of them have parents that have to work. They can't be at home.
We've had the gamut. We've had teen parents from some of the most prominent families in town. We've had teen parents from the worst possible circumstances. And the role modeling of the caregivers and the site director is key, and the high school staff and all our board members. All of our board members have connections to adolescent well-being in one way or another. All of us. And I should mention the rules that the kids have. When they come in, our part is we will take care of the state child care voucher money. We will take care of all the red tape. You have to have 95% better 95% or better attendance, 95% equal or better grades, no discipline referrals, and tell us if you need something. The Catholic ladies, the Pentecostal ladies, and the Lutheran ladies have been wonderful this whole time. If we need a car seat, a carriage, you know, anything, we can ask them. Formula diapers, whole 9 yards. If we have a desperate need, they will get it for us. So that's another thing that the kids know coming in. No matter how dire their circumstances, we will get them covered on those necessities. So everybody is pulling in the same direction. Everybody's role modeling the same thing. And as long as the kids stick by their part of the contract, we make them sign. And for some people, you know, attendance has not been a big thing in their life. And 95% is, you know, you can miss one day out of 20 school days, and that's it.
Yes.
Now, if you have pneumonia or something, of course, that's different. But no, just playing hooky and, you know, expecting us to take care of your baby. And the kids get it real quick.
Yes.
So we have just been really blessed by all the cooperation of the school corporation, the local funders, the staff in Richmond Community Schools, the churches. I mean, we've got a unified cocoon going around the teen parents, and they come back. You know, they come back, say, "Hey," or send. We have a private Facebook site for our teen parents to communicate with each other, and we get messages back. You know, "Hey, I'm getting my MSW. I'm married now, and you know, working at here or there, and whatever." And
Yes.
so it's just very gratifying. We feel like we have all these 100 million grandchildren out there.
Well, I hate that we're out of time, but we do have to wrap it up. And I want to thank you for being one of the founders of this very important program and for the work you do. And it does take a village in our society anymore. So thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you. It has been a privilege.
Good. Well, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for the Third Sector.